It was a bright Tuesday afternoon in suburban Georgia, and Officer Brian Turner was out on his usual highway patrol, his sunglasses on and radio crackling beside him. He leaned against his squad car parked beneath a large oak tree. Officer Turner was known in the area not just for enforcing the law, but for doing so with an attitude. He had a reputation for being quick to pull over vehicles, especially if he didn't like the look of the driver. That afternoon, as traffic flowed smoothly along Route 78, a sleek black SUV caught his attention. It wasn't speeding, nor did it violate any visible traffic law, but something about the driver didn't sit right with Turner. The tinted windows, the out-of-state plates, and the fact that the driver appeared to be a black man and an expensive call of it triggered his inner bias. Without hesitation, he jumped into his cruiser, flipped on his sirens, and pulled out behind the SUV. Inside the SUV, Special Agent Malcolm Davis of the FBI was on his way back to headquarters after a week-long undercover operation in Alabama. Dressed in plain clothes, with no sign of his badge or gun in sight, he was listening to jazz music and sipping on a bottle of water. The flashing lights in his rearview mirror caught him off guard. Quickly checked his speed and signaled to the right, pulling over calmly. Malcolm wasn't worried yet, but he had been in law enforcement long enough to know that traffic stops could escalate quickly, especially for black men in America. He reached for his wallet slowly, placed both hands on the steering wheel, and waited for the officer to approach. Officer Turner walked up to the vehicle, puffed up with authority. Without greeting or explanation, he tapped the glass aggressively. Malcolm rolled the window down halfway. License and registration, Turner barked. Certainly, officer, Malcolm replied in a calm tone. May I ask what the violation is? Turner narrowed his eyes. You don't ask questions. You do as you're told. Malcolm remained composed. Of course. He handed over his license and registration. Turner looked at the documents, pretending to inspect them carefully. What are you doing in this neighborhood? I'm returning from a work assignment, Malcolm replied. What kind of work? We're for the federal government, he said simply. Turner scoffed. Oh, you people always have a story, don't you? Federal government, huh? That's original. Let me guess. CIA, maybe Secret Service? I'm with the FBI, Malcolm said plainly, knowing full well that saying so would only inflame the officer's ego. Turner chuckled. Oh, you're an FBI agent now. It's rich. He walked back to his cruiser with Malcolm's license, smirking. Inside his car, he looked up the name. Sure enough, it came back clean and listed federal. Bureau of Investigation as the employer? But instead of letting it go, Turner's pride got the better of him. He thought Malcolm was bluffing, maybe using a fake ID. He decided to call it in. Dispatch, this is Officer Turner. I've got a black male claiming to be an FBI agent. Name's Malcolm Davis. Requesting verification. The dispatcher was silent for a moment, and she came back on, her voice sharp. Stand by, repeat. Do not engage further until confirmation is received. Turner frowned. That wasn't the usual protocol. Still, he decided to press his luck. He stepped out of his cruiser and returned to Malcolm's window, this time with more aggression. Step out of the car, he ordered. Officer Malcolm said firmly, I've done nothing wrong. You're detaining me without cause. I set out now. Malcolm sighed, unbuckled his seatbelt, and slowly exited the vehicle. Turner immediately grabbed his arm and turned him around. He didn't see a weapon, nor did he ask for one. Simply cuffed Malcolm on the spot. Just being careful, Agent Davis, Turner sneered. We've had a lot of fake agents around. Here, you're not above the law. Malcolm didn't resist. He knew better than to argue during a roadside confrontation. But inside, he was furious not for himself, but for every innocent man who had faced this kind of humiliation. A few minutes later, 2 black SUVs came barreling down the road with government plates. They screeched to a stop beside Turner's. Cruiser. Out stepped 3 serious-looking men in suits, one of whom was the assistant special agent in charge for the Atlanta FBI field office. Is there a problem here? He asked coldly, flashing his badge. Turner stiffened. Who are you? Asac Williams, FBI. That man you have in cuffs is Special Agent Malcolm Davis, one of our top field agents. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Turner opened his mouth to respond, but found no words. Malcolm, still in cuffs, looked over with a faint smirk. "Nice of you to drop by." Williams stormed toward Turner. "You detained an on-duty FBI agent with zero cause? Are you out of your mind?" He didn't identify himself. I thought he was faking. He did identify himself. Just didn't listen. You assumed, and you laid hands on a federal officer. That's a federal offense. Turner looked pale. For the first time, his confidence cracked. I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to racially profile him. You didn't mean to humiliate a federal agent based on nothing but your prejudice," Williams shot back. "You'll be lucky to keep your badge." Another FBI agent. "Uncuffed Malcolm? Are you all right, sir?" he asked with concern. "I'm fine. But I think this officer here needs some serious retraining." Turner stood in silence as Malcolm dusted off his shirt and stepped forward. "I've dealt with criminals more respectful than you," Malcolm said in a quiet, steady voice. "You didn't see a citizen today? You saw a black man in a nice car and assumed he didn't belong. That assumption could have gotten someone killed. It happens every day. But today, you picked the wrong one." The local police chief soon arrived on scene, alerted by dispatch after the situation escalated. When he realized what had happened, he was horrified. He apologized repeatedly to Malcolm, promised a full investigation, placed Turner on administrative leave that same day. News of the incident spread like wildfire, especially after Malcolm's fellow agents leaked the body cam footage to the press. The video showed Malcolm being calm and compliant, and Turner being disrespectful and aggressive for no valid reason. Public outrage followed. Civil rights groups condemned the officers' behavior. The FBI issued an official statement supporting Malcolm and demanding reform at the local department. Turner's history of questionable stops came under review, and several prior complaints were reopened. Within weeks, Turner was fired. He tried to sue for wrongful termination, but failed miserably. Meanwhile, Malcolm received letters of support from fellow officers, public officials, and even ordinary citizens who had seen the video and felt empowered to speak out against racial profiling. Malcolm never intended to become the face of anything. He just wanted to do his job and get home safely, but what happened that day reminded him and the world that being right doesn't always protect you. Sometimes it takes exposure and accountability to begin real change. A few months later, Malcolm gave a talk at a law enforcement conference. "I still believe in the badge," he said. "I still believe in justice. But believing in something means being willing to clean it when it's dirty. If we want the public's trust, we have to earn it every day, no matter who's behind the wheel or what color their skin is." The audience gave him a standing ovation back in Georgia. The police department introduced mandatory bias training and began using Malcolm's case as part of their officer education program. It wasn't a perfect fix, but it was a start, and Officer Turner, he never wore a badge again.